Welcome back to No Rhyme, No Reason. I'm your host, Aaron Bergeron, and once again, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Aaron
Hey everyone.
and Ernesto.
Hey, how's it going?
So this time, I think we're just going to jump right into it and start off with another love-hate, as well as a quick update on anything new or exciting we'd like to share. And I'll go ahead and kick it right off out of the gate, and I'll say that I love the West Coast. I just got back from a vacation to Washington and Oregon with my wife, and it was a really great trip. Seattle is a really cool city. We did all the touristy stuff, and it was really cool. We spent a day at Mount Rainier, which was awesome, and we drove down to hang out with Aaron in Portland, and I finally got to meet his daughter, who is adorable. Overall, it was definitely awesome trip, and the West Coast is pretty cool. I've been to San Francisco a few times now too, and the West Coast is it's so different. It's beautiful and it's awesome, and it's hard to describe unless you've been there. And as for a hate, I'm just going to go ahead and preface this with the fact that this podcast has been an absolute blast so far. And I'm hoping now that I'm back from this trip, we can get this to a weekly show. But my hate is going to have to be Ernesto smoke detector. I had forgotten about it, and like 3 minutes into this, I'm already hearing it, and I don't care how much character he thinks it adds. It's going to be my hate for this week.
It's the 10-foot ceilings. Okay, I don't have a ladder tall enough to get to my fucking smoke detector.
Are you humble bragging right now about my hate?
I am
trying to play it
I'm
off.
not humble bragging. I'm just giving pure facts right now. That literally, like, I've taken my one ladder and tried to just do anything, change the batteries out, knock it off the ceiling. I can't reach it. So, I'll get it fixed though. It's on the list of many things that are also on the list.
All right. How about we bump it to Aaron and see what he's got for this week?
So yeah, my love this week, definitely seeing you and Brittany yesterday going to the Oregon Zoo up in Portland. It was only about an hour and 45-minute drive going up there, which was super easy from Eugene, not a lot of traffic really, and then seeing you guys and looking at all the animals and having you meet Harley, that was awesome. So I was super happy that you guys came up. Glad that you love it up in the Northwest. My hate. I hate, I guess, because I haven't been in school for a while, but I feel like college is just complicated. Just the administration aspect of it. But that's my only thing right now. That's just a little irritating, but I've just been getting ready for school. Starts next week. Going to talk to the Voc Rehab people tomorrow, get that set up, and yeah. What about you, Ernesto?
Yeah, I'll start off with the love. I'm loving work right now. I've been crazy busy the last couple of weeks, and I'm closing six transactions down right now. So not a lot of sleep, not a lot of other stuff other than work has been taking place in my life lately. But it's a blast. We're growing really fast, and I'm honestly excited for 2019. I'm already looking ahead past October, November, December, and just getting pretty pumped up for the stuff that we're going to be doing next year. So that's pretty much what I've been up to. Just work. That's it. No vacations here. That's me. And then the hate. Ooh, I actually thought about this yesterday because I knew we were going to talk about this today. And I hate, and it should have been my hate the first time, because it would have tied in with Wayne's hazard lights in the rain. But it is when someone like slows down to an almost complete stop when they're making a right-hand turn.
Oh yeah.
Like when they're turning into a parking lot and someone almost comes to like a complete damn stop. Like I don't understand the premise of it unless it's raining or it's like a super sharp turn or something like this. There's no need to slow down that much. Just make a simple turn. And it pisses me off when I'm driving. It's too fucking much. But that's about it. That's all I've been up to. Work and people piss me off while I'm driving.
All right. Okay, so I thought for this episode, now that we've got our love hates out of the way, it would be a good idea to complete the introductions from the first episode and go over how we met and sort of how we became friends. And my favorite part about this whole thing is that we all seem to remember it differently. So I thought it would sort of be funny to let each of us tell our own version with as little interruptions as possible, which might be difficult. And then at the end, sort of go over the only part we really agree on, which is the Fiesta Bowl trip, I think. And I don't really know if one of you wants to volunteer to go first, but I would definitely like to end if that's okay.
Well, it makes sense that you end because we've never heard your side of the story. Papa and I have gone back and forth. You've been outspoken this entire time. So I'm sure Papa would like to go first, just so he gets that out of the way.
No, you can go first, bud. That's up to you.
So you want me to go first, so you can just. So we're not talking Fiesta Bowl trip. We're gonna wait for that last.
Well, I think we all agree that that's sort of like where it solidified it, where we were all there.
It definitely solidified. Yeah. Okay. So I'll go first. I think I played on this a little bit. We all met back in marching band, and we played the same instrument. And me and Wayne always saw eye to eye. We hung out during band trips up in the stands, and Popeye was also one of my friends. And so he became a friend of Wayne's as a byproduct of me and Wayne's relationship.
Lordy.
So that was mainly it. It was all through marching band. I didn't have any other association with these guys. Popeye coming in initially hated me because he hung out with a bunch of people from this church that this girl that I had a crush on went to, and they all in turn hated me. So I think at many points during our freshman year, me and Popeye were not friends whatsoever. Is that correct?
No, I wouldn't say that. In the beginning, it was Lexi.
In the beginning,
she didn't. She said
she was putting us at odds.
Yeah, she was putting us at odds. But then you and I started talking, and then that was
my charm overcame
that was
everything.
Done before, like the first month was even done with school. I think we were friends.
Once I start talking to you, it's game over after that. You're a friend for life, whether I want it or not. You just can't get enough of me. So that's pretty much how Popeye and I became friends. And then me and Wayne were a little more similar. And then like we'll talk about later, it really solidified towards the end of that actual calendar year where we took a band trip to Phoenix, Arizona.
All right. I'm ready to hear Aaron's version.
Yeah, so there are some differences, everyone. My story, Wayne and I met in marching band because, as Ernesto said, we played the same instrument, and we had brass arc where all the horns would arc up, so Gary, who was our brass instructor, could hear all the sounds in the middle. I stood next to Wayne in arc. That was where I stood. So that's why I think Wayne and I were friends first, and then Ernesto, being the good guy that he is, came along too. And like Ernesto and Wayne have said, the Arizona trip just solidified the friendship to what it is now, and turned out to be. I think without that, because I was gone the next year, halfway through, and the year after that, I don't think we would have talked if it wasn't for that trip. So I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, we would have definitely cut you out of the loop. After that, it was the Wayne Ernesto show with some Andy. So if we hadn't gone on that trip, you would have been a distant memory.
All right. So the way that I remember this is that, if for people who don't know, I am a grade above Aaron and Ernesto. I took the volunteer move and I stayed into like the introductory. Like there's different levels of trumpet, so I stayed to be third trumpet. So we marched next to each other. I was marching next to Aaron and Ernesto. And Aaron is correct. I stood next to Aaron, and I believe Ernesto was on the other side of Aaron. But yeah, by proximity, I became friends with Aaron.
Yes.
And then Aaron got interested into the lady friends, and he just completely dropped out of both of our friendships, and basically it was just me and Ernesto then. And
Yes!
and we basically sat next to each other on the bus for all the rides because Aaron was too busy sitting next to
whoever his girlfriend was at the time.
So right before the Phoenix trip, I believe Aaron became single, and
that's when
I became single as well. And so all three of us were single. And I don't know if Ernesto or one of you guys wants to pick it up from here, but basically there's this Fiesta Bowl trip that we're all going on. We're playing our show at the Fiesta Bowl, which is a collegiate bowl. They basically have a band competition before it, which is sort of weird, but it makes sense. So we all flew out to Phoenix, Arizona, and performed our show, and we went to the Grand Canyon. It was super fun, but
yeah, I'll take it over.
Go for it.
The title of this episode is Larry Metz, and the reason that the title of this episode is Larry Metz is because there are 4 people to a room when we went on this trip, and Larry Metz was our 4th, and something happened like the week before we left where he got sick. He got like really ill. So we couldn't go. So it was really just the 3 of us, which is great because, you know, we had one less person, and the guy was just some renegade who had worked his way into our group to room with. So I mean, we spent, what was it, 6 days, 7 days?
Yeah, I think 6 or 7. Yeah,
it was a long time. 6 or 7 days. Yeah, we left the morning after Christmas. And got back, I think, the day or the day after New Year's. You know, we get up there, and right out of the gate, it's the first hour of that trip really set the tone because there was a gift shop at the bottom of this hotel, and Popeye sits up on this little ledge. It's just like this little. There's a ledge with empty space between this spot and the ceiling, and he sits there with some water guns they had bought, and he's just shooting people through our open door out in the hallway. So he shoots this one kid who was already a douchebag, and so he comes in and charges after Popeye, and they're like wrestling and like throwing each other around, and the entire time this is happening, Wayne is sitting there playing on his DS, and I'm sitting there playing on my PSP, and Popeye's just getting ragdolled, and he's like, "You guys can step in at any time. You guys can help out at any time that you want." And nothing. And then they broke a little portion of the bed, and then it was over, and then he just left. And yeah, that was, you know, just from the second that trip started to the very end. There's a lot of drama, a lot of shit that happened. You know, it was good.
It feels like it was more than just 7 days, honestly, with all the stories that we have from it.
It really does. Like, Wayne scared the shit out of me. What's your favorite story from?
Scaring the shit out of you was definitely a high point. There was curtains and shit, and I would be behind them and just jump out at Ernesto, and
it was like he shit himself.
It was just one time. I came back to the room, and they're right next to the bed. I came back to the room, and I'm like, where'd Wayne go? And Popeye said, "Oh, I think he went downstairs for something." So I'm like, okay. And I had the bed that was right next to the curtain, so I go to walk around it to plug something into the wall unit, and all of a sudden Wayne just pops out of these fucking curtains, and I just fell straight backwards onto the bed. Like, it scared the piss out of me. Like, I just fell straight down. I just fell down. Yeah, the snowball fight, the actual fight at that one party.
Oh, New Year's Eve party. Shout out to Greg Voza for taking one to the face.
Yeah, this big fight broke out. Popeye ran for the
No, I
hills.
didn't.
I was in the thick of it.
Oh
And
my gosh,
we get back to the
whatever.
bus, and he's all pissed off, like, "Oh, I missed the fight. I don't know how that happened." And I'm over here. I saved 2 chicks from the fight, just escorted them out of there,
Oh my god.
and he just tucked tail and ran. It was despicable.
Oh, jeez. The train?
Dude, the train was
ice
boss.
cold train that froze all of our lunches.
It was freezing cold, but it was badass. This is the only time I've been on a train. I didn't even know they still had trains when I went on that train.
I will say the Grand Canyon was really pretty with all the snow. That was definitely a big highlight for me.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
The one drawback, I know you guys are just waiting for me to say it. The one drawback is that the PSP that I got for Christmas got stolen on this trip. And I was incredibly pissed. It was stolen by housekeeping. Like, it was stolen by housekeeping. I got a brand new, like the Sony PSP, the hottest thing back in the day, just came out. I got one for Christmas, and I love this thing. It was fantastic. It was the coolest thing ever. Wanted one for months. We leave to probably go on the train or something, and I get back, and my PSP is gone. It's gone. I searched high and low, and there was no other way that anyone else stole it. Because the door's closed. It's not like we lost a key card or something. The door's closed, so it had to be housekeeping. So I set a trap for our maid by leaving some pennies out on my bed just to see if she would take the pennies. And mockingly, I came back, and the pennies were stacked neatly on my fucking pillow. Like, not only did they not, it's not like they just left the pennies, like just left them there. They took them and took the time to stack them and took the time to put them in my face and rub it in with the fact that they stole my PSP, but my pennies were not good enough.
I'm dying over here in remembrance of this story.
Dude, I was so pissed. I literally had the thing for like a week. And I wrote them. I phoned them when I got back home.
Still no PSP.
Still no PSP. Like, one of these days, the PSP is going to show up at my door.
This dead technology.
It's going to be old. It's going to have like Dorito fingerprints on it. Some fat Mexican kid's just been playing with it for the last 12 years.
How is that different than what it was doing?
It's that's a good one. It would have been in more loving hands.
I see. Well, let's not get too carried away.
That's the trip that put the nail in the coffin there. Just to clarify things. Wayne, who was your best man at your wedding?
Ooh, it was Ernesto.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. And what was your favorite year of high school?
I don't think of my years of high school as having favorites. I try to forget most of those times.
If you had to pick one, that was your favorite year of high school.
Probably my senior year. Isn't that the right answer that you're supposed to have?
Is that 2009?
Yeah, I believe so.
Popeye, where were you in 2009?
I was in Oregon. Because
so you weren't present for 2009 for Wayne's favorite year in high school. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I rest my case.
I don't know what point you're trying to prove here. I just flew halfway across the country to see Aaron.
Aaron was a side trip. Okay, you did not go solely to see Aaron. You saw Aaron the last day that you were there.
I don't know. Maybe that's how I picture it. Anyways, many good times were had after and before that. It has been basically the story of the PSP is a perfect example of what our friendship is. We basically, something bad happens to one and we just completely ignore it and just act like it didn't happen and laugh about it later.
That's about it.
Yeah.
100%.
So,
and then the alliance happened.
Oh man.
and that's a whole other show.
Yes, that's a whole other show. That's a good way to put it.
You know, and Popeye won't have a lot to talk about because he wasn't present for it. He wasn't part of it.
Oh man, this is quickly turning into the dog Popeye for not being here.
Oh yeah.
We could bring Andy on as a special guest.
We could absolutely do that. But for now, I think we're going to wrap this up unless there's any more comments or any more stories.
I'd like to address the fans.
Okay, go ahead.
We received rave reviews from the first 2 episodes.
Can I just say the smoke detector going off right before that is too perfect?
That's fine. Because I'm about to drop a hot take.
Okay, go. I'm listening.
We received rave reviews on the first 2 episodes. Rave reviews. And we received a little bit of criticism. And that criticism mainly boiled down to 2 points. And A, I'm predictable. And B, I'm egotistical. And that stings. You know, that stings. Probably didn't see that coming, but it stings. And I'll try to humble things up. I'll try to be a little less cartoon character. I have had people tell me that I'm basically like a cartoon character. So the predictable thing kind of comes, I get it. I seem very scripted. That's all I got. It stings.
All right. I'm sure that'll be really fun to look back on in a couple episodes.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see the progression of me being humble, because that's fun. That's about it.
No irony here. None. I can't see any at all.
There's no irony.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Well then, I think we'll wrap it up, and hopefully we'll get this out to be a weekly thing now, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone.